Belal, remember the name Muhammad? Why, yes, Belal, I think I will. I think I will remember the name. I was calling him other stuff over the weekend, like Belal, what the hell? Muhammad. Belal, oh my goodness, Muhammad. I want to remind you guys, and I want to bring this to your attention, right? Do you guys know why you love Gilbert Burns? Serious question. Do you know why? I'll tell you why you love him. You love Gilbert Burns because of his willingness. You loved him because of the attitude that he had, that he wanted to be the champion. He was willing to do the heavy lifting any night, no sidestepping, bring it on, put it in front of me. Just let me know that my opportunity and hope still exists. That's why you love Gilbert Burns. And I remind you of Gilbert because now we're seeing Gilbert Burns of 2020 in the form of Belal Muhammad in 2021. There is nothing more that you could ask from a guy than a good attitude. Truly. There really is nothing. If you got to work with people, and all of you do, are you really impressed with who the smartest guy is there? Maybe to some extent, but it's not what you ask for. Are you really impressed with the strongest guy there? Or the fastest whatever? Maybe. But what you would really ask that they all have is they have a good attitude. Can we agree on that? So now we're working with somebody named Belal. Remember the name Muhammad, which we absolutely will never forget the name. Oh, and by the way, he's got a good attitude. He's doing the same thing that Gilbert Burns is doing. Look, it's more than just physical. I did not believe that Belal had the skills physically to deal with Wonder Boy, and that wasn't a message on Belal. Wonder Boy is a pain in the ass. Wonder Boy is tricky. He's crafty. You talk about great attitudes and somebody that likes to be there and he's never had a bad day. I mean, Wonder Boy is the definition of an optimist. Those guys are a problem when you're fighting them. You can't get in their head mentally. You can't back them down. They're always going to bring their skills. And then you're looking at a guy that's turning his hips and shifting his stance, and he'll lead with a jab, or all of a sudden he's jabbing over here. I mean, it's just tricky. He's a tricky guy. Can we agree? Of course. Wonder Boy's great. Of course Wonder Boy's great. I haven't seen anybody physically in Belal's past to mimic Wonder Boy, or to show that Belal had the ability to train for, was prepared for, or adjust to Wonder Boy. Great, set that aside. That's just the physical side. And if you're only given 15 minutes, you have no room for air. You can't burn a round. You can't burn a couple of rounds. You can't burn positions. It's not the same as you have 25 minutes and you figure it out on the job. So I thought things were against Belal. So what that I had that wrong? It's the attitude coming out of the fight. Belal is now calling for a fight with Chimaev. If I would have known that a week ago, and I did, Belal was throwing his name in the Chimaev, I would have dismissed it. Belal was busy. He had a contract. I don't know if he can deal with Wonder Boy in the first place. I think that I know how it goes behind Chimaev and Belal. That was last week, and what a difference a week makes. Because all of a sudden, you're looking at a guy like Belal Muhammad, who came out. Let me give you a couple of the statements he made. Belal said, I would get more for beating Chimaev right now than I would any ranked guy. Beating Chimaev right now would mean more to people watching. He's talking about you, some of the impression of you and the pundits, than it would beating Colby. Boy, he's close. He's very close on that statement. I can't disagree with it. I believe if you beat Covington, you become the number one contender. I can't imagine a possible next opponent for Colby that should that guy win, he's not the number one contender. And I don't know if I could quite give that to Chimaev, but it'd be close, and that's all we're speaking to. It's a very close to literal and accurate statement, Belal Muhammad, who now, by the way, wants to get in there with Chimaev. So that made me go back and look up Belal's record. Some bitch has won 20 fights. He's only lost 3 fights. He's been in there with all sorts of top names. If I was to tell you that Chimaev's going to fight, and I don't even say the name, you're probably going to pick Chimaev, right? Like, I mean, there is just an excitement and a belief behind this young man. But if I did give you a name and say I threw the name Demian Maia, you're probably going to be pretty excited to see that fight. You know Maia can protect himself. If I told you Wonder Boy, you're probably going to be pretty excited to see that fight. You know Wonder Boy can take care of himself. Well, now I'm telling you the guy that beat both Maia and Wonder Boy is going to fight Chimaev. Do we all have each other's attention? That is what is so important in these fights. I've heard fighters say, well, what do I get? What's this guy ranked? What's it do for me? It doesn't make sense. Have you guys heard these terms? I mean, they're sickening. It doesn't make sense. Whatever makes sense is when the boys in the second floor of Zuffa call you up and tell you what they want you to do. Okay, it's already been vetted and proven to make sense. But we still have to deal with this. What you get, just so that you guys have the answer, isn't just a little bit of money, and it isn't just some prestige. It isn't just a chance to perform and compete, which you've sworn that you want to do. It's a platform. And what you do with that platform is solely up to you. In the business, that's called going into business for yourself. You have a script. You have the way things are supposed to go. When you go off script because you're live and you know nobody can take it back, you've now gone into business with yourself. Most guys who go into business for themselves experience their last day at work. Other guys create something with it. And the bosses see it and go, that is better than what we had planned. We're going to do it that way. And all of the greats at some point had to take that risk and go into business for themselves. Belal Muhammad has done that. And in my opinion, he succeeded. Absolutely. He used the platform. He did what he needed to do. To get his hand raised against Wonderboy would have been what 9 out of 10 guys would have done. He got his hand raised against Wonderboy, and then he grabbed a microphone and started to lay the foundation for what was next. 1 week ago, I would not have predicted for you it's going to be Belal versus Chimaev. I don't know that I'm ready to predict that now. I think that there's still something going on with Magny, and I don't know why we haven't heard about this and so on and so forth, but you guys are tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about it, but all of a sudden you have a new contender, and whether Belal gets that opportunity or not, which I do think that he's right, there is something special going on with Chimaev. You are going to have a special placement on the card. To hell with the rankings, this is the one that's going to matter, but let's just say he doesn't get his way. He's now set himself up for something very good. It's very important that you have big goals in life, very big goals. You got an athlete, inspire them to be the world champion. Most people fall short of their goals. That's true. But if you were training and preparing to be a world champion, when you fall short, you generally have something pretty special. I don't know a national champion. I know a lot of them. I don't know a national champion who did not have a goal of being the Olympic champion. Most have fallen short of their goals, but you're still looked at very fondly. They did really great things. They set huge goals, and that's what I'm seeing with Belal Muhammad. He's got a goal right now going after Chimaev, and he even laid out his reason why he thinks it's going to bring him a bunch of attention and be good for him. No disagreement. I'm just submitting the other side of it. If he doesn't get what he wants, he's still going to end up with something pretty good. And I do think in the Chimaev sweepstakes, I feel like we've got him limited. I don't know what's going on with the Magny situation. That would just seem real lazy approach. You read a headline, Chimaev's got an open dance card. You read that Magny would like to fill it. But then we get confronted with the piece that none of us have the answer to as to why those two aren't out there doing the two-step. For whatever reason, we still have to elect ourselves mayor of Get the Hitville at some point and realize that match isn't going to happen. I'm talking about Magny versus Chimaev. So now all of a sudden you insert Belal into the mix. We don't know why Magny and Chimaev isn't happening. We just start to understand that there's some kind of a resistance there. And then you get Belal. Do you guys have a third idea? Do you have a better idea? It's one of those things, right? Where generally in life, you're not going to get for anything that you don't ask for. But most of us are afraid to make that ask. Belal came out and made the ask. He turned his ask into a demand. He didn't just make the demand from the cheap seats. He did it from a platform on a microphone known as ESPN after beating the number 5 guy in the world. This is very sincere. It was the difference in Magny calling out Chimaev versus everybody else that had called him out. In all fairness, Neil was serious. Magny laid out a case, not just I'll do it. He laid out his case as to why he should get to do it, and now that's what Belal's doing. I don't know where that goes. I don't know that Chimaev needs to be the big prize here. I don't know that Chimaev gets to steal all the headlines when this is Belal's moment. But even Belal said Chimaev somehow was stealing all the headlines. And here I am saying Chimaev's name as much as I'm talking about Belal's. I mean, in all fairness, there is a realness to this phenomenon. I encourage it. I encourage you guys to support Chimaev. I just would encourage you to not miss what Belal's doing. Because he's taking care of business. He's doing some serious lifting. He's a step ahead. He's taking the hard fights. He got in there with Leon, and he's asked to get on there with Leon a second time. There is no coward in Muhammad. Muhammad is doing everything that we say we want our favorite fighter to make, and all he's asking of us is one thing. Remember the name.